Yeah, I want to make some comments about several things. Even about the Civil War, slavery in the United States, and about this Confederate flag, which is not actually the flag they mainly flown during the Civil War and war between the states, war of northern aggression, whatever the hell you want to call it. But I think the issues are going on right now. There's a big psych and in other words, you got everybody diverted on stuff like the flag and gay rights and all that type of stuff like that. While the powers that be are putting the screws down on us, and we're all screwed, man. I'll tell you that. I think that's what's going on. But I know this flag is like really controversial and stuff, and it's like I'm not gonna get on with that too much. But I went into the thing where the X means is from the cross of St. Andrews. It doesn't have anything like to do with, I don't know what the hell they would make up about what the hell the X means, but it's the X of St. Andrew. He was crucified, the brother of Peter, the apostle St. Andrew. He was, by legend goes, he was crucified on a cross of an X, okay? Now, I know about with the South, slavery was big business. But if you look back on the, what do you call it, the rosters, the population censuses back in the South, yes, slavery was going up a lot more in the South. There was more and more slaves in the South, but most people in the South did not own slaves. It was only the rich bastards, the ones with a lot of money. That's really what the thing was. So when there was this war between the states, most people weren't fighting even for their economic interests because they owned slaves. No, they were fighting because there was a war between the states, and that's how the political system got set up, and that was it. That's where they lived, and that's where somebody else lived, and it wasn't even exactly the issue the way they make it sound like today. It was an issue, but the main issue was actually the tariffs and the fact that there was too much of an economic benefit to the North with the money collected from the tariffs. And the other thing was if the South sold cotton to England, the English were so freaking efficient at making clothing and textiles that it was basically like dealing with China today or something. What would happen is they would be able to, even though the South had to ship the cotton all the way to England, right? The English would go ahead and make the clothing out of it. What would happen was they would still undercut the price of the northern manufacturers in New England, in Massachusetts and Rhode Island, even though they had to ship it all the way back here again. Basically, the UK was like the Chinese manufacturers of its day. So they put up protective tariffs on cotton. And that didn't help the South out a lot. And a lot of that money from the protective tariffs that the South paid, that was basically restricting their economic activity, a lot of the benefits went to the North. That had a lot to do with it. Because I got to tell you right now, it's like we got different kinds of little minor slavery coming up. Well, it's always been this way. And I got to say something else about this flag. If they had it like the rainbow gay flag, they'd be like, oh, that's okay. And what the hell is, what the heck, man? It's freaking bullshit, man. That's what I have to say about what's coming up with this issue because, I'm going to tell you something. What they did with this General Lee car, and I'm suspecting, this is the only reason I suspect that something was pre-planned with this whole event with the massacre in Charleston, South Carolina, was that I don't know how it could have been pre-planned. I don't know. I mean, that's going down another rabbit trail, but the only thing that got me thinking is that somebody posted a video on YouTube, the event where the massacre of the 9 black churchgoers in a church in South Carolina, that happened on June 17th. There was this guy in a YouTube video posted June 26th, 9 days later. They already had the Dukes of Hazzard General Lee car in the stores with the box wrapper showing no Confederate flag on the roof. The car had the flag removed from the roof. In like 9 days, it was already on the retail stores, and it was coming from China. It was being shipped from China. I mean, what did they do? Like do an emergency production and fly it in here with a jet? No, it would have came by boat. I mean, that really looks suspicious. Now, I wouldn't like, to me, they would probably have the Dukes of Hazzard on with, Bo and Luke being gay partners and Daisy Duke being a transsexual today, and they'd be flying, the Rebel Rainbow flag. But what the hell are they telling you over here? What the hell kind of game is going on with this stuff? You see what I mean? What kind of game have they got going here? They got another game going on. I know one thing, like with the South, though. The South, basically, they had a lot more slavery over the years, and it was getting to be bigger and bigger business, even though they were stopped from importing slaves from Africa. But most people in the South did not own slaves. It was only the rich bastards. And it almost reminds me of the same kind of shit that goes on today, where you got Wall Street basically got you by the balls because they freaking got all the money. Isn't that the situation? They pretty much, people got the money, people got the rackets, people have basically got the inside deals. They own everybody else in different ways, although they don't call it slavery. Now, I said, there was this issue with Donald Trump. He was talking about, what do you call it? The Mexican drug lords and problems with drugs and stuff, and some of the bad influences that are coming over the border that need to be stopped. Well, the guy is right, but I have to tell you, it's common knowledge that this has been going on for many, many years. And I could tell you one thing. One of the biggest things that's victimizing black Americans in this country is freaking drugs. And where a lot of it's coming from? Mexico. So I'm going to tell you, man, it's like when I stick up with the USA, man, I stick up with all the homegrown USA, which includes everybody, you know what I mean? But I just wanted people to remember that this issue with the Confederate flag and all this stuff, and supposedly meaning hate and stuff, I don't, people, if a person doesn't regard it as hate, it doesn't mean hate, That's exactly what it is. And if the person was in the Civil War at that time, more than likely they didn't even own slaves in the first place. So it's like a mute issue that, they were fighting for slavery. They were fighting for, I don't know, they're just fighting for it because the freaking government that was established in their state put out a bunch of propaganda and said that's what you're fighting for this, and you're fighting against the Yankees for this, and they're doing that, and they're doing this. But I know it had a lot to do with slavery too, but it was really the rich fucks that had it, the ones with the money. But isn't that always the case with any war? Isn't that always the case? It's always a war because the rich bastards want it. I could say that about anything. The war for oil, right? What the hell else is new, right? What else is new? But I could say one thing, despite these different problems we got and division in our nation, I think we ought to be united against people coming over our borders and basically take, certain people, which is drug influences, cartels, which has been well established, that are coming over U.S. borders and causing a lot of economic hardship with all the freaking problems that go on with it, and victimizing people in the United States because, the war on drugs itself is another slave racket. So in other words, if somebody comes over the border that's a Mexican drug cartel individual, whatever the hell he is, selling drugs to some American, white or black, usually hitting the blacks, right? They get in trouble because they took the drugs or they got caught with the drugs. And guess what? Oh, they're not a slave. No, they go to prison and they're part of the apparatus called prison industries. Why the hell do you think we got such a big incarceration rate in the United States? Why? That is really why. Because it's a financial racket. Yeah, they got rid of slavery, man. Sure. They got, prison industries instead. And where's prison industries mainly coming from? A lot of it is drug infractions because of the quote unquote war on drugs. And guess what? Where the hell's a lot of the war on drugs coming from? Mexico. Right? Right across the border, man. In cooperation with the CIA. But then again, well, I just put some stuff out about the Confederate flag that not necessarily, I don't really think it's racist or whatever. I think it's just, well, somebody can think of that, but a lot of people don't think of it. But that's like a non-issue. But, actually I'm putting out something here that's just saying that blacks are getting freaking screwed over left and right from every which way from Sunday. And it's like this game's going on them from not just the freaking powerful Wall Street whites and the CIA, but also the Mexican drug cartel. Ain't that the truth? So, you could take it in which way you want, but I just want to say again that most people in the South didn't own slaves, man. Most people in the South, even if they wanted to own slaves and they thought it was a good racket or something like that, if that was like, oh boy, I could have a person's labor for life or something, and they figured they couldn't afford it. They couldn't afford it. Most people didn't have any kind of money like that. So when they had the war between the states, or whatever you want to call it, it was just, the institutions that were in those respective areas in the North and South just put out the propaganda to get it going, and everybody killed each other over it, right? That's really what happened. And that's why I think this whole issue with this flag and the church massacre, I think it's all a freaking psyop. I mean, it's, the church massacre did occur, I know that. But I don't know how the hell they got those Dukes of Hazzard cars all the way from China in a box without the flag on them in 9 days flat in a retail store. Already manufactured, redesigned, the whole 9 yards, right? I don't know, man. It sounds like they knew it was coming up. And I can tell you about the Gulf oil spill. I think they all knew it was coming up. But, we got other issues coming up on the sidelines that are more important while you're being diverted with the flag issue and the gay rights issue and whatever the hell is going on, to teach Trans-Pacific Partnership. And basically what this is going to do, it's big agriculture, which is the biggest danger. Monsanto, and they try to buy this Syngenta. They try to buy them up so far they weren't able to. But what they're going to do is they're going to put so many regulations on food that you're not going to even be able to grow your local food that's wholesome and healthy and organic. And you know what that means? You're going to be eating this crap, because you know what? It is crap if it's genetically modified, and it's going to basically break down your body. They had tests from medical doctors that showed they did this on mice, and you're not going to see this effect on humans till decades later, but they did it on mice. Oh, they showed where they gave some mice genetically modified food. Oh, they all developed cancer, rampant cancer, by the time they're middle age. Oh, this genetically modified experiment hasn't been around on the human population long enough, but it's going to kill a lot of people. That's what they're looking to do, man. Cull the population, man. They're freaking freaks, man. They're control freaks on the top. And, the cuter they talk, the least you can trust them. The ones that talk really polite, it's a bunch of bullshit. I don't trust them at all. The ones that talk cute, I don't trust them. But anyway, TPP is about shipping our jobs away. Shipping our jobs away in the United States to other countries. While we're dealing with all these excessive regulations on the environment, these other countries got no regulations on the environment. Like China's got no regulations on the environment practically. Neither does India. Actually, India has more pollution in their cities than Beijing. Most of the cities in India. A lot of people don't know that. And you're talking about places where we're shipping our jobs overseas. We're shipping them to? We're shipping them to places that are basically have slavery. In other words, when you buy all these cute electronic gadgets that play music and you play your DVDs and your sound system, basically what you're doing is supporting slavery. Because the people, like a lot of times people, even in India today, they got debt bondage. Oh, it's been illegal maybe since 2007, I think it was, but it still exists all over the freaking place. But they make people basically, it's the same, almost the same as what it was in the South practically, for crying out loud. Almost that damn bad. They got people in China working in factories that feel like so despondent, they jump out the freaking window and commit suicide. You've seen freaking things that happen like that. And I can tell you that, it's not happening because they got a happy, lovely environment going on there. But Christians all look the other way. Hypocrites all look the other way. It's the same deal. What I look at it is, we buy stuff made in our own country, made by our own people. And our people in this country are of all races and colors. And the thing is, it's like we got to stick together as one group. I mean, yeah, we're all from other places. I know that. But what the hell? We all stick together as one group. The fact that we already are consisting of all peoples of this earth in the United States of America, and we are a diversified culture, we don't need to be shipping our freaking jobs away because we got workers inside our own country that represent every country in the world. This shit with freaking shipping their jobs away is for the elite bastards only. They're the new plantation owners of the freaking modern 21st century. And I'm going to tell you, the guy that is the main freaking one that is the sellout, and he's the Uncle Tom, is Uncle Tom Barack Obama. Right there. He's the one that's the big sellout of the freaking century. A lot of people thought this guy was in for change and freaking doing something different, and we got hope, and it's bullshit. No, we don't. We ain't got no hope with this guy because he's a sellout to the max. That's all there is to it. So, I want to tell you, though, I'm on the side of anybody that's true blue American all the way, which means you're born in this country or you're freaking really siding with this country, number one. You're going to stick up with this country come hell or high water, even if you're a naturalized citizen. And, even if the going goes tough. And, and that could be naturalized citizens, and I know some of the people that are born here and have been here for freaking centuries even, might be the same ones that freaking might book at the first sign of trouble. But I stick up for the people that are going to be around for America when times get tough. But one of the guys that's going to make times tough for us and that's been selling us down the river, and for not just him but all the bastards before him, including Bush, including Clinton, including Nixon, including, I don't know, maybe not so much Reagan, but maybe him too. And they've all been doing it. And, the deal was back in the day, where that expression came from, sold down the river. That was back from the North. They had when they had slavery of the blacks in the North, and they say, well, if you're too much of a problem, they'd be sold down the river to Mississippi to the worst guys down south, which would be the ones in the South. But then again, I don't know. I have no idea what the hell happened back then. I can always tell you it's a mixed bag with anything. There's Christians that practice the actual thing, and there's Christians that talk it. And, if the Christians were slave owners, whatever the hell they were, and they were real Christians in the real sense, they probably weren't so freaking bad. But then again, I really don't know what the freaking what happened back then. I just know that most people back then in the South were not slave owners. And them pushing this issue about the Confederate flag and all the crap that happened way back when, and the South rebelling had everything to do with slavery. That in itself is a psych op. That's not even true. It was partly an issue, but it was mainly the issue by the rich bastards in the South. Not so much the freaking people that just were like individual farmers, which was most of the Southerners. And the ones that are straight today, that are sticking up for this flag today, they're not the rich bastards. The rich bastards are freaking, they don't care, man. They don't care about this country. They don't give a shit at all. They'll sell out. They'll be like saying ban the flag, and do whatever, I don't give a shit, gay rights or whatever, do whatever you want. But I'm just saying is, they'll sell you out in 2 seconds flat, man. The ones with the money will sell you out 2 seconds flat. I don't give a shit where they came from. The big plantation owners of the day back in the 1800s, they're just as screwed up as the Wall Street bastards today that are pulling this Trans-Pacific Partnership along with Uncle Tom Obama. And, regular people, I'll tell you the truth, I really think, people could do what they want, but, I'm more or less a Yankee. Actually, I do have some Southern roots. When I dug down from my grandfather's side, I got Southern roots that go way the hell back to even before the Revolutionary War, and I had family that fought in the Revolutionary War in Charleston, South Carolina when he was 16 years old. I'm actually a son of the Revolutionary War patriots or some shit from one side, my father's father. But, I got other family that goes to Italy, and I'm like, I don't know what the hell, man. People can nitpick all that shit they want. But, most people that are sticking up with this Confederate flag, they're just like regular people, and they're just getting pissed off that some assholes on the top are freaking trying to freaking take it away and call it a hate symbol when they don't think of it as a hate symbol. But I can tell you one thing, that'd be a real curveball. I think, it'd be kind of funny if the gays adopted it too, man. I don't give a shit. It'd be kind of funny. Do a rainbow Confederate flag. And it'd be cool if maybe some of the Southern blacks adopted this flag too, because I think it's a symbol of rebellion against the freaking Northern money interest. That's primarily, I know they can argue this all freaking day, what the freaking Civil War started for, but definitely was a lot to do with the tariff and the fact that it was causing economic hardship in the South because it was making it difficult for them to compete with their agricultural product. And at the same time, the tariff money was benefiting the North, not the South. The actual money that they were collecting on a tariff was actually benefiting the freaking North. And yeah, I know the people in the South that were like the big money, yeah, they're freaking screwed up. But you know what? The game today is the big money's in Wall Street. They're all connected to prison industries. And you know what's going on with that? That's the new slavery. They bust you for some minor drug infraction, 3 strikes, you're out, blah, blah, blah. You didn't harm nobody, you had this, you had some little bit of drugs. And, a lot of those drugs are coming from where? Mexico. Shit, What the hell does that have to do with U.S. Latino guys? Nothing. And gals? Nothing. It's coming from a country on the other side, you know what I mean? But, this is all part of the game, man. And while they got you all freaking diversified and looking at each other and freaking fighting each other, they're already freaking smiling to the bank and grabbing more power through not only prison industries and not only profiting on the drug trade through the banking system, but also now through TPP, which is going to threaten our food safety, and also through TPP, which is the Trans-Pacific Partnership, which is shipping our jobs away. And the bottom line is Uncle Tom Obama is in on a deal, and he's in with those freaking bastards in Wall Street. He's in with them all the way, man. So I just want to put something out here because Republicans suck too, okay, man? I know that sometimes, I sound like conservative, but they're all screwed up, man. Jeb Bush, I ain't definitely voting for that asshole in a million years. I already figured it out, man. He's another freaking yo-yo to the max. As a matter of fact, last time I got so pissed off, I says, man, I was like, I think the last two times I voted for other party. I said, screw it. In California, which I was surprised when Ross Perot was running back. What was that, in the 90s or something? Early 90s. He actually won in San Diego County. He had the most votes. He was the number one. I was like, wow, that was cool. You'd never see that up in Northeast. Not in a million years, man. Only, at least California, they're freaking thinking independent. But I think that's what you got to do. Right now, I'm leaning towards Trump, but I don't see how the hell he's going to win, man. But it's freaking. But then again, I'm realizing that I know one thing: I'm not going to vote for Republican or Democrat next time, man. I know that. The hell with both of them. And if it becomes illegal to freaking plant food and grow food or whatever the hell it is, or they're getting to make it so it's illegal. You can't work on your car in your driveway because the EPA is going to be over there with a freaking microscope. I say screw them, man. Screw them. So anyway, I don't know. This issue's got me a little pissed off, and I can tell you right now, I can tell you some other things, man. Like, I'm not going to get into that, but I can tell you one thing. I think a lot of blacks, if they were to look at this flag in another way and look at it as rebellion against the freaking powers that be, not a slave flag. That's kind of how I look at it. I kind of look at it as rebellion against the powers that be. Although you're still in with the United States. I just look at it like it's rebellion, man. What do you got? What the hell kind of dumb rules you got? Fly the rebel flag. We're against any dumb rules there are. That's kind of how I think of it myself. So, I think anybody of any kind of heritage ought to adopt that flag. And maybe it depends on how you take it, man. It depends on how you take it. But I think everything they're playing right now is a big psych op. And you know what? There's ways around it. And we got to stick together because the United States consists of all races and creeds. They don't need to be shipping our jobs overseas to all races and creeds everywhere else. They need to keep them over here. We got every freaking representative group there is in the world here, right here in the United States. And they all need jobs. And don't let those assholes fool you about the TPP's not going to create jobs. That's bullshit. That's bullshit. I don't trust any of those politicians, especially if they come from the Democratic or Republican parties. I don't trust any of them yo-yos.